It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and we have a brand new summit called Drift Performance. This is my summit guide. Let's go! All right, real quick before we get into it, a quick shout out to Simgii for helping out on this one. He definitely helped me on a couple of these events, finding the correct lines and the right strategy, whether it was drift or grip. So please go follow his channel, subscribe to it. There's a link in the description down below. All right, let's get into the cars first. For the Summit bundle, you're going to be getting the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 6 GSR. This car is crazy fast. It's a really cool car, and I can't wait to test it in the drift category. You're also getting the Nissan Skyline GTR R34. Again, another drift car. The whole Summit is going to be drift cars, except for the slalom vehicle, of course. The additional vehicles are the Mazda RX-7 and the Evo 6 Flow Edition. So the Flow Edition is really nice to have. I've got a good tune on it, and that makes it very, very nice for the event we use it on. However, for that event, you can use whatever you've got. I just think you're going to enjoy this tune. So anyway, that car is definitely recommended. The 370Z Nismo Edition, I like that one over the other 370Z. This one just seems to be a little bit more to my liking. You're also going to need the Unicorn. This is going to be the best for that first event, and it's going to be a race application. So we'll have a tune for you on that one as well. And then the slalom vehicle of your choice. I'm using an Alpha Grand Prix because I finally got Score Breaker for AGP, but you can use whichever vehicle you actually have Score Breaker set of parts for. Make sure you have Score Breaker plus Skilled as your affix and have it fully maxed out. And then the last thing you should have is probably Pure. If you don't have that, it's okay, but definitely Skilled and Score Breaker on those parts. And then of course, max out your legend points as well in the Skilled category and the Pure category. Anyway, the keys to the Summit are your Drift Multiplier, Nitro Chemist, and then the Slippery and Hothead affixes. These are going to be for your drift parts and your legendary points. Make sure you have Slippery and Hothead completely maxed out on your drift parts for the drift specific events, not the races, but the actual drift events. All right, here are the pro settings for all of the cars that I've used, and we'll put on the screen in text which ones are race and which ones are drift. All right, quick disclaimer for anyone who's wondering, none of these clips feature any wheel or wheel mode gameplay. I do not use it at all. When you see my car initiate a drift quickly, it's because I'm tapping the NOS and the handbrake at the same time as I'm turning into the corner. Try it one time yourself and you'll see your car flick into the drift exactly like that. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into the first event, which is called Drift Circuit, and it's a race using the Unicorn. This race is all about maintaining speed, using your NOS, and drifting through these turns. If you didn't know the trick I told you about just a second ago to enter your drift quickly, you definitely need to learn it. It's the NOS and handbrake at the same time. Here is my full second lap for your reference. All right, the next event is called Drift Machine, and for this one, I'm using the 370Z Nismo. And for the difficulty settings, go into those, put traction control on Sport and drift assist on Sport. And then you can follow the tune that I gave you in the Pro settings. That tune is specific to these difficulty settings, just makes it a little bit easier to drive. The key to this is keeping your multiplier throughout the entire event. It is very difficult to do, but definitely is possible. I recommend being patient with your drifts. Don't worry about the time. Go slow if you have to and try to keep your multiplier up. You should shoot for 130,000 points or more. That will get you over 100,000 points on the event. And aside from that, there's really not much else I can say. This is really going to be a test of your drifting ability. It's a difficult week for those who struggle with drifting. All right, the next event is called Drift Apex, and for this one, we're using the R34. This is another one of those lapped races. So I'm just going to let my full third lap play for your reference. Enjoy. Hey guys, real quick, about 75% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you find this info helpful, please consider subscribing. I bring multiple Motorfest videos to you every single day. All right, let's get back to it. All right, the next event is called Drift Countersteer, and for this one, I'm using the Evo 6 GSR. The key to this one is definitely drifting the corners that you think you shouldn't be drifting. This car has tremendous acceleration, so use that to your advantage and stay in 5th gear for most of those drift corners. You can NOS in 5th and get directly up to the top speed really quickly. I actually got a 210 on this course without Nitro Chemist because I just don't have it for drift cars yet. Here is my first full lap for your reference. Enjoy. All right, the next event is called Drift Line using the RX-7. And for this one, the difficulty settings are different. I've got traction control on comfort and drift assist off. This one was the most frustrating event for me personally. I think many people will struggle with this, but my advice has to be the same as the first event. The goal should be to not drop your multiplier for the entire event. I unfortunately could not do that, but I was happy with my score, so we left it alone. Again, the minimum you want to shoot for is around 130 to 150,000 points, and that will get you over 100,000 points for the summit and will be plenty enough to get you into platinum. Again, for this one, using that handbrake NOS trick I taught you earlier is very important, and it actually helps you keep your drift multiplier alive when you get onto the slower sections of the course. All right, the next event is called Drift Donut, and for this one, I use the GSR Flow Edition. And the difficulty settings, I've got traction on comfort and drift assist off for this one. It might actually be the easiest event to score on for this summit. It's not a super difficult thing to drift in a circle, and the points awarded are fairly generous, so just try to maintain a smooth drift for as long as you can. I started having issues when the cones started getting really tight, but I already had secured a fairly high score, so I wasn't too worried about it. But if your goal is just simply to get platinum, you really shouldn't worry too much. It's fairly easy to get a high score on this. Just don't fall off and, you know, try not to hit any cones or flags. All right, lastly, let's talk about the feats. All 3 of these slaloms reward you better by going the opposite direction from which you spawn, and all 3 slaloms need a car with score breaker on it. An Alpha Grand Prix car is the fastest, but definitely use what you have. I also find it easier to avoid the traffic when I'm in hood view, so give that a try if you're struggling and you're running into traffic. All right, that's it for this one. Here are my final scores. Again, DM me if you have any questions. I'll do my best to provide you with extra advice. I think this one is going to be one of the most frustrating summits that you guys do, especially if you are not very skilled at drifting, or if you just don't understand how to countersteer or something like that. So anyway, just send me a DM if you have questions. I'll do my best to answer and try to provide you with a little more advice. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.